After a 4-week break, the Republican candidates for president were back on the debate stage. They went head-to-head in Arizona, and it was very clear who was the most targeted.
But while I was fighting to save the Olympics, you were fighting to save the bridge to nowhere.
Congressman Paul, you've questioned the fiscal conservative credentials of all these gentlemen, but particularly this week, Senator Santorum. You have a new television ad that labels him a fake. Why?
Because he's a fake.
And they measured me up against the other 50 senators who were serving when I did, and they said that I was the most fiscally conservative senator in the Congress in the 12 years that I was there.
Meanwhile, Newt Gingrich kept his focus on the policies of President Obama.
Everybody talks about managing the current government. The current government is a disaster.
Joining me now to talk about last night's debate is Brian Montopoli, senior political reporter for CBSNews.com. Thanks for being with us.
It is great to be here.
All right, so this was the first debate since Santorum became the front runner. How did that change the tone of this one?
Well, I have to say, I thought Rick Santorum did not have a good performance. Look, of course we knew going in he was going to be on the defensive, but I thought that he was going to be prepared for that. Instead, he really stumbled. I mean, look, this is a guy whose whole campaign is built on this rationale that he's a true conservative, that he's going to do the right thing in any situation. Well, he spent a lot of this debate defending votes he made and saying, look, I made a mistake. I did what was politically expedient, whether it was supporting Arlen Specter or the No Child Left Behind Act. He got into this debate about earmarks that just was confusing and made him really look like a Washington insider. It wasn't what he needed. And it's surprising, too, because Santorum has sort of been a great debater in some of these past debates, and I was a little bit surprised that he didn't put up a better performance in last night's.
Well, he and Mitt Romney went back and forth, so you're saying Mitt Romney came out on top in this one?
I think he did. I mean, look, I don't think Romney had a fantastic performance, but he had a solid performance, and any loss for Rick Santorum at this point is a win for Mitt Romney. These guys are battling in Michigan. This is Romney's home state. Romney really has to win it. The primary is next week, and the poll shows Santorum is right there with him. Well, if Santorum doesn't do well in a debate, it's good news for Mitt Romney, and it could help move the needle for him in Michigan.
A lot of analysts say Mitt Romney really needs to win Michigan. Do you think last night's debate helped him do that?
I think it did. I mean, absolutely. You also have to keep in mind, Romney has a financial advantage over Rick Santorum. He has an organizational advantage. Santorum's big advantage was, hey, look, Mitt Romney's, essentially a phony. He's a guy was a moderate in Massachusetts, and now he's saying he's a conservative. I'm the true conservative. Well, then he goes into this debate, and he spends 2 hours talking about all these votes that he made that weren't really particularly conservative. These are things that he did when he was, in the Senate under George W. Bush. Now, a lot of Republicans made similar votes, but for a guy whose whole argument is that he is a pure conservative, it's a bad place to be, and he really was not able to explain it away.
So who do you think is connecting right now the most with Republican voters? I know that's the question of the moment, because it's flipped over and over again between Santorum, Gingrich, Romney, and it continues to change. Who's resonating?
Well, I was saying that if I had to pick a one true winner from the debate last night, I'd have to go with Barack Obama. I mean, when I look at these candidates on the Republican side, and this is how Republican voters feel too, if you ask them in polls, what do you think of your candidates? Nobody's really connecting. I mean, they don't trust Mitt Romney. I think Santorum has been connecting, but he spent the last few days talking about social issues, which is not where he wants to be, and then he struggled through this debate. Newt Gingrich is certainly a colorful figure, but a lot of even Republicans don't like him, and then Ron Paul, he's a guy who's consistent, but he's outside of what a lot of Republicans believe on issues like foreign policy. So you don't have a candidate in this race that's really sort of connecting with the Republican voters. I think Santorum was the best sort of shot at that, and I think a real alternative to Mitt Romney as opposed to some of the folks we've had in the past like Donald Trump. But he spent a lot of time last few days talking about things like contraception and President Obama's phony theology, and it's just a little bit much. And then to spend this debate, on the defensive, it doesn't help. So I think if you're Barack Obama and you watch last night's debate, you're pretty happy. And
you're saying that forget about the poll numbers because it's still a toss-up between these candidates.
Well, if I have to pick a favorite, and I think this remains the case, it's Mitt Romney. Even though Rick Santorum is up about 10 points in the polls, this is not a national fight. This is a state-by-state fight. Romney still has a good chance to win Arizona. There's a lot of Mormons there. That's going to help him. And I think that, the numbers are starting to move a little bit in his direction in Michigan. By no means is that a done deal. Santorum could still win both of those states. And we don't know what's going to happen on Super Tuesday. That's where Gingrich hopes to make a comeback. But if you have to say at this point in the race, who is the front runner despite everything? The guy who we've been saying despite everything is the front runner throughout this race, and that's Mitt Romney.
All right, Brian Montopoli, we always appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.